Have you noticed this? The harder you try to cling to a relationship, the faster it slips away. Why is it that those who seem most popular and socially adept are often the loneliest inside? Behind this lies a harsh but honest social truth. Truly intelligent people never get overly close to anyone. That runs counter to what we were taught growing up. Be warm. Be a team player. The more friends you have, the smoother the road. It's okay, since we're adults. Let's have a candid conversation about why maintaining the right distance is actually the best way to protect yourself, build yourself, and even sustain relationships. I'll share 5 first principles of distance that the wise live by. After reading, you'll not only cut off most emotional drain at the source, but also gain a mature, high-level social playbook. At the end, I'll hand you a talisman, a simple, usable mindset that instantly steadies the heart and helps you find the most comfortable, safest position in any relationship. This deep dive into self is worth following to the end. First principle, the law of energy conservation. Your energy is your most expensive asset. Your personal energy may be leaking every day, yet few people take stock of it. Think about it. You go to a party energized and come home hollowed out. Or you chat with a friend for 30 minutes and feel inexplicably low for hours. This isn't being delicate, it's the economy of energy exchange at work. Jung spoke of psychic energy. Your vitality springs from an inner current that is finite. Choose some, have less, or human interaction. At root is an inflow and outflow of energy. Here's the problem. Many don't realize that low quality, overly intimate socializing is the fastest energy drain. What does getting too close actually mean? It means you're forced to absorb another's dumped emotions and anxiety builds. He's heartbroken and vents for 3 hours straight. You listen and soothe. Some of his pain is transferred, while you shoulder a heavy emotional load. She's criticized at work and rushes to offload negativity onto you. You become an emotional dumping ground. Their patience, needs, anger, and unease pierce your boundaries, consuming your attention and recovery capacity. Over time you begin paying invisible taxes, an emotional tax, a time tax, and an attention tax. Your daytime focus is chopped into fragments. Your nighttime recovery is hijacked by anxiety. You haven't done any big thing, yet you feel crushed with weariness. You think, I'm not kind enough, not strong enough. But in truth, it's energy mismanagement. You're pouring your most precious fuel into a bottomless pit. The smart approach isn't coldness, it's calibrated distance. They follow the half-step rule: close enough to empathize, far enough not to be engulfed. They use boundary language, willing to listen, but with limits on time and depth, willing to help, but only within their scope and responsibility. They reserve their prime energy for high-quality relationships and self-growth, and allocate only spare capacity to sustainable socializing. Remember, your relationship's safety comes from boundaries, not fusion. Once you learn to guard your energy, relationships actually become steadier and longer-lasting because you're no longer trading self-overdrive for surface harmony. In the next principle, we'll talk about scarcity and value. Why appropriate distance is the key lever that raises mutual respect and attraction. It means you've crumpled your own boundaries, inviting the other person to make bold demands. Can you quickly Photoshop this for me? Pick me up at the airport at midnight. Cover for me at this inconvenient dinner and drink on my behalf. Because you're close, any refusal makes you look ungracious. This kind of morality coerced closeness exhausts you and stretches you thin. Whereas, you get pulled into someone else's cause and effect and right wrongs. He fights with his partner and drags you into charge. He clashes with a colleague and wants you to take sides. You end up like an unpaid neighborhood busybody, handling messes that were never yours yet can easily drag you down. Smart people saw through this long ago. They're not cold, they simply manage their energy with rigor. Energy is the fuel of creation, the foundation of self-realization. With limited charge, they prioritize high-return core projects, sharpening cognition, honing skills, focusing on their craft, and deeply experiencing life. Think of Haruki Murakami running every day, writing every day, rarely attending so-called circle socials. He put it plainly, if I don't want to meet someone, I don't. That isn't arrogance. It's clear-eyed self-protection. Pulling energy out of meaningless socializing and concentrating it on creation is how you produce steady, enduring work. So you see, keeping distance doesn't turn you into an island, it lets you become the CEO of your own energy. Invest your best resources in the highest yield project your life. Starting today, guard your energy the way you guard cash flow. Give yourself 3 risk control questions. Does this relationship nourish me or drain me? Does this person charge my battery? Or did I leak it? Will this investment yield sustainable growth or genuine ease? When you evaluate relationships through an energy lens, life clears up fast. No more firefighting everywhere. No more being requisitioned by others' emotions. You keep your focus on rhythm and your relationships actually become steadier and longer lasting because clear boundaries are safer than bottomless enthusiasm and far more measured. Second principle, the human drift law. Distance breeds beauty. Over closeness breeds contempt. It precisely captures our instinctive chase for scarcity and mystery. The easier something is to get, the less it is cherished. The old saying, a wife is not as alluring as a concubine not as alluring as an affair not as alluring as the one you can't have, points to how scarcity sustains attraction. In human relationships, this law is especially vivid. The initial beauty comes from distance and restraint. At the start, we probe carefully and show our brightest, most interesting selves. Every conversation ends too soon. Every meeting leaves you expectant because of what's withheld and unknown. The other feels like an as yet unexplored mystery planet, naturally stirring your desire to explore. Once you get too close, 3 things happen. Mystery hits 0. The halo crashes. You've seen him in his post-Bendamas. Know every embarrassing story, even every freckle and mole. The figure you once admired is sanded down by daily trivia, falling from the special one back to an ordinary person who burps, slips up, and talks in their sleep. Excess transparency inevitably dilutes charm. Expectations rise, of course, replaces gratitude. What once earned heartfelt thanks now becomes merely what you should do. Miss the mark once, and stockpile disappointment erupts often with the most wounding line. I didn't think you were that kind of person. When intimacy exceeds the dose, the demand threshold inflates without limit. Flaws magnify, jealousy and comparison quietly grow. Get promoted, buy a car or a home, and those least able to truly bless you are often the ones closest to you. Your strengths become a mirror reflecting their imbalance and unease. That fine but piercing thorn of envy slowly corrodes what was once warmth. Schopenhauer's hedgehog's dilemma captures it well. In winter, hedgehogs huddle for warmth. Too close, and they prick each other. Too far, and they freeze. The ideal state is just right distance enough to share warmth, not enough to wind. People need this same safety interval. How do the wise keep a beautiful distance? Preserve your personal territory. Keep undisturbed time for solitude. Maintain your rhythm and order. Hold a private boundary. Some matters are for yourself alone. Avoid the backlash of over-disclosure. Keep clear accounts, even with siblings. Clear rules make ease last. Rules bring long-term lightness, not coldness. Allow self-focus and white space. In an age of overexposure, deliberate blank space is itself a rare allure. Remember, distance isn't indifference, it's respect. It acknowledges that both sides are independent selves, adding an invisible protective film that filters out the coarse, hurtful edges of human nature, leaving only the warmth and afterglow that can endure over time. When you learn to balance closeness and distance, relationships become steadier, longer, lasting, and richer in texture. Third principle, the law of value exchange. The base currency of relationships is value, not one-way charity. This may sound utilitarian or cold, but it's precisely the cornerstone of any stable relationship. We have to admit a fact. Human nature seeks benefit and avoids harm. We stay connected to someone because we receive some kind of value from them. Emotional value, feeling understood, seen, soothed. Informational value, gaining knowledge, insight, methods. Resource value, access to opportunities, networks, collaboration channels. Healthy relationship equals value parity plus mutual pursuit. Like to evenly match dance partners. You step in. I step back half a beat, the rhythm answers. And both are elevated. Over closeness is what most easily breaks this parity and turns the relationship into emotional charity. Have you met this type that treat you as their only pillar, reporting in at the slightest breeze, chronically withdrawing emotional value, expecting you to be always available, always understanding, always supportive while giving back almost nothing positive? In that dynamic, you're not a friend. You're a therapist plus life coach plus all-purpose caregiver. You start with goodwill and end with fatigue. Irritability and overdraft, a classic case of value imbalance. The wise are acutely sensitive to value flows. They periodically audit their social circle, identify energy vampires who only take, and then quietly and decisively reduce contact or step away. They don't climb by clinging. They center on self-appreciation, becoming a person who can consistently provide value. They understand the essence of a network isn't who you know, but who wants to be near you. And who wants to be near you depends on your own exchangeable value. A clear example is Yihan in the first half of my life. From Lao Zhuo to Tong Jin, his circle offers high-quality exchange within their domains. This is a gentleman's friendship, light as water, each busy in daily life, yet effectively helpful at critical moments. He rarely attends meaningless drinking parties or wastes time on low-level backslapping because he knows real connections are attracted, not begged for. Stop spending your strength on humble appeasement and exhausting maintenance. Invest the same time and energy in yourself. Read a book that expands your horizons. Learn a skill that monetizes or boosts efficiency. Run a 5K that clarifies body and mind. As you shine brighter, you'll find you don't need forced socializing. The world gravitates toward you. The underlying equation of relationships is simple. The more valuable your output, the more you attract people and opportunities on your frequency. When exchange returns to parity, even feelings become more dignified and more enduring. Fourth principle, the law of self-confirmation. Grow roots within, not clinging without. Have you ever wondered why we crave closeness so much that we'll swallow our pride, to lose ourselves? The deep cause is often just one thing. Self-confirmation is unfinished. When we don't know who we are and aren't sure what we're worth, we instinctively look upward, piecing together existence and approval from others' eyes and echoes. A person who is inwardly empty and loosely bounded lives in a grasping mind, like a drowning person clutching any driftwood partner. Friends, circles and refusing to let go. They bind tightly to prove I'm loved, I belong, I matter. Shall they try desperately to please, keep seeking attention, and fear loneliness to a pathological degree? Like a rootless duckweed, they can only parasitize others' moods and judgments. By contrast, the truly intelligent and internally abundant live in a rooted mind. They have completed the essential lesson knowing, accepting, and affirming themselves inside this fertile soil that can self-nourish. They understand their value and don't need external labels to define them. They are at ease alone because, within their own kingdom, they are the king. Such a person enters relationships not to fill a void, but to share and co-create, not to be completed, because they are already whole. Their closeness arises from appreciation and joy, not from fear or lack. This rooting yields the pause to live with dignity at any time. With that inner ballast, they no longer cling, overdepend, or stake all their emotions on someone else. They are like a deep-rooted tree. Friends and lovers are birds that sometimes rest on the branches when they come. They sing in resonance, When they gone, the tree remains upright, growing toward the sky. The spiritual teacher J. Krishnamurti said, loneliness is a flowering. It is the state of being whole. The wise understand this art of solitude, not being passively left behind, but actively choosing aloneness to converse with one's soul. In high-quality solitude, the deepest insights and strongest power emerge. So when you feel unsafe in relationships and want to cling tightly, the issue often isn't the other person, it's that your inner roots aren't yet deep. Pull back the hand that keeps grabbing upward and embrace yourself first. Cultivate a hobby that is yours alone, let passion become your internal power station. Take a solo trip, form an alliance with yourself amid the unfamiliar. Learn to live in peace with yourself, replace self-denial with self-compassion. When you truly become the center of your own universe, you need not orbit any other star. Rooted within, you naturally move through the world calm and at ease. Every healthy intimacy becomes merely icing on the cake, not a desperate plea in the snow. Fifth principle, the risk management law. Human nature is deep and unfathomable. Distance is the best firewall. Finally, let's talk about the most realistic and darkest dimension, risk management. There are no fairy tales in the adult world. Human nature is complex. Intentions shift. Someone who bears their soul to you today may stab you in the back tomorrow. That's not alarmism, it's a statistical everyday reality. Getting too close means handing over too much permission to harm. When you entrust others with your secrets, soft spots, and finances, it's like handing them your house keys. Things may be fine most days, but once the relationship turns or the other party grows ill-intentioned, those once intimate disclosures become the sharpest weapons. A best friend steals your partner, a brother scams your money, a co-founder runs off with the cash. Tragedy often happens between the closest people, because only those nearest know exactly how to wound you. The wise don't distrust everyone. They simply never offer unconditional trust. They are competent human risk managers, guided by three common sense mechanisms. Information theory. Need, true, none. Category A can be shared. Category B only in part. Core secrets go in your journal. Different relationships get different levels of transparency. The minimum exposure principle applies throughout. To dot interest separation rules first. In collaboration, set rules. Sign contracts. State the hard truths upfront. Use clear boundaries and mechanisms to govern both sides, rather than leaning on sentiment. Draw the lines on interests, and the feelings last longer. 3. Dynamic assessment, rolling credit check. Don't treat a single kindness as a permanent pass. Keep observing character, follow it through, and boundary sense. Adjust closeness and trust limits at any time. This prudence isn't scheming, it's mature, responsible goodwill. It protects you and them, not placing human nature in a situation where the cost of wrongdoing is low, and using distance to help both parties hold the line. Like a suspense film, reveal every secret in the opening scene, and the story loses its tension. So it is between people. A measured mystery and a measured distance leaves space and room for each other. That's respect and compassion for human nature. Look back over the whole piece and you'll see. The wise don't get too close to anyone, not out of coldness or disbelief in love, but because they better understand the depths of human nature. Cherish their own energy, respect the laws of relationships, and aspire to high quality, mature bonds. They let go of the fairy tale of seamless intimacy and gain broader spiritual freedom and clearer self-knowledge. They choose boundary, tenderness, and sober kindness. A real relationship isn't two people merging and draining each other. It's two independent, whole individuals, each shining on their own, then illuminating one another.